All right, so we're reading from Little Things Matter. We're on Chapter 88, Control Interruptions. And with that, I'm going to bring on Cindy Wright from the rainy state of Tennessee.
All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wake Up Call. Thank you, Tracy. This is a great chapter this morning, one I certainly need to read probably every day. And it's titled Control Interruptions. So this is from the book Little Things Matter by Todd Smith. And we're on Chapter 88, and it's a great one. And, you know, I'm listening to these people chime in that are on here every single day, and kudos to you guys starting your day off with some positive stuff. So he says one of the basic fundamentals of time management is to focus on one thing at a time. I read an article recently that said every time you allow an interruption to lose 10 minutes of here I go again. It's Monday. Why am I on Monday? I read an article recently that said every time you allow an interruption, you lose 10 minutes of productivity. If you are interrupted while working on a task or project, that interruption is more than just a distraction. It requires you to take additional time to gather your thoughts and return to your original state of focus before the interruption occurred. The most common source of interruptions comes from family, friends, and coworkers. All these people are important. However, if you don't establish boundaries, you can be assured people will feel comfortable interrupting you on their whim. Here's some tips, he said, to control your interruptions. The first one, turn off all notifications on your cell phone device. While I value the importance of providing a high level of service, I also know that I don't need to drop what I'm doing and disrupt my thought process every time someone calls or sends me a text. If you're in the midst of an important project and don't want to be distracted, consider turning off your cell phone. You can return messages during breaks, between tasks, or during windows of time you allocate for such responsibilities. The second thing, he said, turn off all distractions on your computer. This includes your email, instant messaging, and social media notifications. Instead, he said, block out time to return your emails, visit your social sites. He said, I check emails 2 to 3 times a day and engage in social networking 1 or 2 times a day. The third thing, he said, don't accept unscheduled phone calls. Of course, emergencies are an exception. As a general rule, I don't accept unscheduled calls. When I schedule my days, I block out time to complete each project. If I allow myself to accept unscheduled calls, it's unlikely that I can complete my projects on time. If I get an unscheduled call while I'm in the middle of something, I generally look at the number, and unless I feel I must answer the phone, I don't. Then when I'm in between projects, I check messages and return calls. And the fourth one, set boundaries on workplace interruptions. If you work in an environment where you are constantly being interrupted, start to log all the interruptions. As you do, make a note next to the ones that were urgent and needed your immediate attention. I think you'll be shocked with the results. Once you evaluate your results, consider establishing boundaries to reduce your interruptions. I think because this book is 10-plus years old, I think probably this chapter is more important today than it even was then, because we live with interruptions. Every single minute our phone is going off. We're looking at social media. We're getting a text. We're getting some sales pitch text. You know, if you opt into things like I do, you know, to get a discount on something or whatever, I mean, I'm constantly getting texts and having to opt out of things. And oh, goodness, if you check emails, I don't check emails that often because there's so much garbage in my email. But he's so good, like being organized and being, sticking to his plan that most people are not that way. I mean, I think about if I'm out to dinner or out to lunch with a friend, and wouldn't it be courteous if they just kept their cell phone in the car or put it in their purse or turned it upside down? But instead, a lot of people will take a freaking phone call, while you're at lunch. Like, it's one thing to say, oh, my gosh, I've been expecting this phone call, and, it's very important. Please excuse me. But, I mean, I'd be at lunch and somebody just pick up the phone, not even say anything, just start talking away on it, like while we're having lunch. I'm like, hello? And it's really, really rude. And so I think that this is just something that we all have to work on because we all get interrupted. And most of the time, these phone calls, the text messages are not urgent, and they could wait an hour. So I'll give it to you for your feedback, Tracy.
Yeah, hey, man, good stuff. I definitely think if you're out doing any kind of business with somebody and well, first off, you should never be texting or taking a call. That is a high show of disrespect and disregard of what the other person is doing or thinking or anything else. And so probably when this book was written, they didn't have a whole lot of cell phones like they do today. But what I wanted to talk about was, I don't know if it's my age or whatever, when I'm working on the taxes or something, like I was just working on a big tournament I was trying to put together, and I start focusing on what needs to be done, and my phone rings or my wife's trying to talk to me, that just jacks up my everywhere that I was going with that, and I have to start all over. It takes a minute for me to get, well, more than a minute, it takes a couple minutes to get back in that mode on what I was thinking about. And so that small interruption that I took may really cost me 15 or 20 minutes. And so I really understand what old boy was trying to talk about here. And also it's my interruptions to other people, what that reminds me of, somebody may be telling a story, and I get so excited, I interject something real quick. Hey, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And what I'm doing is interrupting them and interrupting their train of thought. How often have I done that? And so I got to really be careful about interrupting them. And so with that, I'll throw it back to you, Cindy, for a final thought or two.
Well, we can take this in so many different directions. He is focused in this chapter on time management. And so, it is critical if you're really trying to complete something. And I'm sure, if you work in the office, your boss is not thrilled when you're, working on something you're supposed to be doing, a project or your work, and you're taking text messages, you're answering text, you're taking a phone call. I mean, that kind of thing, it is distracting, and it does take away from productivity and all of that. So you really do have to look at everything. He said in his challenge, he said, I realize that as it is the case with any time management technique, there will always be exceptions. Controlling interruptions is no different. Your first step is to recognize that you don't need to be available every time someone wants to reach you. Your next step is to take control of how you spend your time rather than allowing other people and circumstances to control it. He said, for all my time management tips, you can download his free report under Reports tab at thelittlethings.matter.com. His last thing he says, you can't be productive when you are constantly being interrupted. And I think that is so true. Kirby is one of these that my husband, most of you know Kirby, but he does not like distractions. He wants, when he's working on something, he does not want to be interrupted. He will just not even look at his cell phone. I'll be like, did you not get my text? He's like, no, I was working on something. Like, he didn't even look at it, and so he's just so much better about it and able to stay focused, and as a result, able to be productive, versus people like me who are like, start on something and then I answer 4 texts and then go to, I think I'll check Facebook. I think I'll check my email. I think I'll do that. What was I doing? That kind of thing. I'm really bad about that, so I need this chapter as much as anybody. So with that, Tracy, I'll give it to you to close out. I hope everybody has a wonderful Monday.
Hey, that's funny. I used to take pride in being able to do different things, and I was interrupted, I'd take care of that, and interrupted again, I'd take care of that. And I used to convince myself I'm just a multitasker. I can do 100 different things at once and not get them all done. And that may be the case. I can get them all done, but how well am I getting them done? Really, looking back, I didn't do very well, real well at any of them. If I would have avoided distraction, maybe I could have did excellent at 3 or 4 things instead of pretty good at 8 or 9 things. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead. No more distractions. I'm going to unmute the lines and let everybody say goodbye and have a great week.
Great job, guys.
Thank you.
Good call, guys.
Good call. No distractions.
Have a good day.
Good reminder to succeed. Oh, my God.